Yeah, obviously great protection, and that takes a lot of patience for a quarterback. When in that particular case, when you're not on rhythm, but you're not getting pressured to actually stay and go. He did that last year at Tampa to OZ. Very, very. It reminded me they were very similar plays, and I remember how cool we thought that was, that there wasn't pressure. He was able to just sit in there and find what happened and not get, he just was very calm, cool, collective. Obviously, great job by the offensive line to keep that protection for that long. And then Jahan found his way he kind of fought through some contact and found his way to get open. So, it was a full team effort there. And it really is a spectacular play by Jalen and the offensive line there, and then Jahan finishing it.
I know you're still in kick, the fumble on the opening kick. What'd you make of that?
Yeah, it was a tone setter. Oren has been a really good player here for us the entire season. He went in there and played good when Nakobe went down at linebacker as well. He played good last week at linebacker, but he's always been a spark for us on special teams. And I remember Howie, when we signed him, was just like, hey, this guy is one of the best third, fourth linebackers in the NFL. And we were so excited to get him, and he's a special teams stud. And he's shown that, right? I think he's forced 2 fumbles now on the year on special teams, but that was a big-time hit. Big emphasis for us this week because Nixon's a phenomenal football player. I have so much respect for their special teams coach and their assistant coach, who I actually had a chance to work with as well. They're really good coaches. I just can't say enough about Green Bay and their players and their coaches. That's a good football team. But just a big time play by Oren and Jake by placing it the right place. Jake was phenomenal kicking the kickoffs today. And then we beat the blocks that we needed to beat in that particular case and made a big time play you can't start a game better than that. Last time we played them, it didn't start great for us. That felt like 2 years ago, but it didn't start that great for us, right?
What have you seen in the growth from last year and this year in Nolan Smith, especially now in a big spot like this?
Yeah, Nolan has just continued to get better. Nolan, I gave him a game ball in there because just his efforts. I love Nolan Smith. I mean, I want my kids aren't going to play defensive end. I know that. My 2 sons aren't going to play defensive end. They're not going to have the genes to do so. But I want my sons to play football like Nolan Smith. As hard, like before my kids go out to play any sport, I say have fun, play hard, be physical, and that guy is the definition of those things. He has fun out there. He has fun with his teammates. His teammates love him. He plays hard as I've ever seen anybody play. And this dude is a physical guy. I mean, I can't say enough about the way he plays this game. He loves this game. You love guys like that, and you love when they can. But that's a credit to Howie and his staff of the guys that they have brought in here, right? Because we've talked so much about the guys that love football, the guys that are tough, the guys that have high football IQ. Those guys have a tendency, God willing, to reach their full potential, and I think that's what you're seeing. That the intangibles for Nolan Smith are there, and so you're seeing him get better each week and each time he steps on the field because. When you have those intangibles particularly, you have no choice but to get better. Like you just get better. And Wash has done a great job with them. Vic's obviously done a great job of putting him in position to succeed. Howie, does a great job of getting him in here. And I think that, it shows you. I think it shows you and everybody like patience, right? Guys might not come in and just be, world beaters, even though they were ones in college. They might not be world beaters right away. It takes some time but we've seen, Nolan grow into this player that was able, the things he was doing today that helped us win a playoff football game. So, I can't say enough about Nolan. I could go on all day about that. As an offense, we struggled a little bit as an offense. I don't think we had the game that we wanted to have on offense. But Jalen, I did a lot of good things. One thing that Jalen first of all, Jalen is a winner. He wins. I mean, no one can argue that, right? And the other thing is we know when we take care of the football, the things that happen when we take care of the football. And Jalen's on this pace of, the efficiency that he's played with this year and with his quarterback rating, with his yards per attempt and all those different things, to be able to do that while also taking care of football is huge. Again, do we want plays back that happened today? Yeah. But one thing I loved about what happened on the offense is that it wasn't going great, and this was the case for our entire team. Like, Q gives up a PI on third down, and then Q comes back and has a big third down stop on a 4-point play on 3rd and 9 from the 9. That's dog mentality. Jake misses an extra point, and then Jake puts the game away with 2 huge field goals. After that, that's dog mentality. The offense isn't going the way we want it to go, but somehow, some way, when they cut the lead to 6, we find a way to put it back to 2 scores, and then I think it came back to another possession again, and we found a way to put it up. Actually, they're up 9, whatever it was, but we found a way to score again. That's just, the ebbs and flows of a game. We're going to go back to work tomorrow, and no victory Monday for us. We could play Saturday too. We don't know, but no victory Monday for us. We're going to go back to work because we do have a lot of things to clean up.
There was some positive. Dallas's catch and run. What does that do for the team?
Yeah, we talk a lot about just physicality and our core values. Tough, detailed together. Well, toughness isn't just the physical plays. It's the mental toughness that I just talked about. It's the relentless effort that I talked about with John. And then it is the physical toughness. And on offense, right, you don't get those opportunities for those big hits sometimes that the defense that's able to get. Reed came out of the sky and made a couple big ones today. So you do it with your blocking. You have to do it with the way you run with the football in your hands. And nobody in this league is as violent and as physical as Dallas Goedert with the ball in his hands. I mean, did he have 2 or 3 stiff arms on that play? I mean, it really reminded me of the play that he made in the 2022 playoffs early in the game where he had a stiff arm or ran somebody over against the Giants, and really you could see the spark it gave to the sideline. Well, it was the same thing here. And again, our toughness and our physicality were on display on that play. And Dallas is a physical player, and that was a big-time play. Jalen, I thought Jalen did a great job of getting to that play. Jalen got to that play and made an unbelievable play and an unbelievable check that, you're going to know about because I'm telling you about, but no, that's not going to be seen to to everybody that he was able to check out of a play and get to the right play and get a ball to Dallas where he could go out and make the play that he did.
That's the lowest point total the Packers have had all season. I guess what stood out about the way the defense played and the way that Vic called the game?
Physical. Vic's, I thought we were very physical. I think that we have some tackles that we missed that we're going to want back, but all the things that I will say this, like, it wasn't a perfect game for us, and it's not baseball. We ain't gonna ever pitch a perfect game, right? It's not gonna happen. That's the beauty of the sport. Like it's never gonna be a perfect game. But why did that happen, right? Why is it like that? Well, that is a great football team. Matt LaFleur is a phenomenal coach. His staff is phenomenal coach. You can just see it ooze off their tape of how good of coaches they are, and they got really good players. I can't tell you how much respect I have for that organization, for Coach LaFleur and the players on that field. So they forced things to happen, right? Josh Jacobs is a phenomenal football player. He forced things to happen at times. And so that's what happens in the playoffs. And so, again, it's going to be about how do you play the next play? How do you go on and move on from that? I don't know if I answered your question. I kind of just started babbling a little bit, but that's a great football team. And the reason it was hard and the reason it didn't look perfect, we have a lot to clean up, is one, it's never perfect, but that's a good football team.
Couple more, please.
Stiff arms, Devontae was wide open. What was the adjustment to get to that point?
Great call. Yeah, great call by Kellen. Phenomenal call by Kellen. Won't get too much into it. I don't want to give up too much information, but I thought it was a great call by Kellen, and we got on the perimeter. Jalen made a phenomenal throw. Smitty made a phenomenal play. I mean, how about Devontae Smith and the toughness? He may not have that stiff arm that Dallas had, but every time he's 175 pounds, and every time he's on the sideline, he finishes the play for extra yards. That Devontae Smith is so tough, and I find myself week in, week out just praising how tough he is as a football player. Yeah, again, when you have guys that are tough and love football, that makes a team special.
One more?
Nick, you mentioned going back to work tomorrow, but there's a chance you don't know who you're going to play.
We got to clean up the stuff from this game. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, is that, I mean, especially if you play on a Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday, obviously things could change if we play on a Saturday. We got to correct this tape. We have things that we have to get better from this tape. If we play on a Saturday, then their day off has to be tomorrow. We'll find a way to get the corrections to them and review that on a Tuesday. But if we play on Sunday, we're coming back to work. We're going to get our lift in. We're going to correct the things that we need to make as coaches. We made errors as coaches, and we made errors as players, and we're going to go back and get those fixed, because all that matters is the next game, and all that matters for that next game is that we get better from the things that happen in this game and repeat the stuff that we did well from this game.
All right, thanks.
It's good being back in routine and being able to go out there and get a win. Play with the guys, get a win.
What are your big picture takeaways from the game?
A big picture, I got to watch the film, be able to look at some things, take some notes of things, and have some conversations. But ultimately, playoff football is about winning. First wild card win since for a minute now, so that's big.
You guys got off to a hot start, and it seemed like maybe there was like a little bit of a lull there. Was it something they were doing, or was it execution?
It was execution. It was rhythm. We gotta find our rhythm early in the game, and I think first and foremost our defense played their tails off, and created turnovers, and I think ultimately, when you have those opportunities, you got to take advantage of them. And that starts with me.
Do you think that lack of rhythm or struggling at that point was due to, just not playing for 3 weeks?
No.
What do you attribute it to?
I have to watch the film.
The touchdown pass to Dotson, you had a lot of time to throw the pass. He said it was a clear-out route. He wasn't supposed to be in the picture. At what point did you see him kind of flash in the back of the end zone?
Yeah, that was kind of a scramble from within the pocket. That's what it kind of turned into. And that's a great job by him, staying alive and working the back of the end zone.
Nick said that you checked to the touchdown pass to Dallas. What made you make that change?
Just the look we were getting from the defense that got us a couple times, and that was an adjustment that we made.
Why had Devontae wide open a couple plays before that kind of Benedil's run? What were the adjustments to get to that spot?
It's how you play, the mentality you play with, the approach, and ultimately you want to maintain aggression and those things. I had the opportunity. AJ missed him by a bit, and ultimately you just kind of want to impose your will and style of play, and I think we know we're capable of doing a number of different things, but we just have to find our rhythm and go out there, ultimately execute.
Does it matter how you win this time of year?
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. It's all about winning, and that's the only thing. We've got to the point we are, so it's about finding ways to win.
Considering everything that's
in a game like this, the team in playoff games almost always the team that wins is the one that wins 12
Yeah, I think that's an important aspect of playoff ball, being able to be explosive, but also maintain the ball and win the turnover battle. And I think our defense played lights out with that. Zach Ball flying around. I owe Quinyon something for his first pick. So just when you got a defense playing like that, that always helps. And ultimately, the goal is to create explosive plays and not turn it over. And so we just going to continue to progress in all of that.
You mentioned the first wild card win in a little bit. Considering everything that's happened over the
first for me ever, so.
Considering everything that's happened over the past year, what does this win mean to you? What does it mean to advance and get another home game?
I think just to have another opportunity. I think it's been an odd year in the sense of how choppy it's been, and obviously me kind of being on leave the last couple of weeks or so. And so being back and just getting into that rhythm and leaving it all out there right now, that's what it's about.
You mentioned the defense. How tough is it to see someone like Jacoby go out with that injury?
Yeah, you hate that. I think you asked me a question about what I saw. No, someone asked me a question about what I've learned being away. Yeah, I'm right.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I learned was just the band, and how the bond, that those Georgia guys have and how they play, and I think that's had a great influence on our defense, because there's always a confidence, there's always an intensity there, and a swagger about themselves, and I think that feeds throughout the whole defense, and I think it's very similar to all the guys that come from Alabama and the SEC and that have seen each other and played alongside one another or watched, guys play in that conference or in college. But I think he's a pivotal piece to our defense, and he'll be missed. I'm, praying for a speedy recovery.
It didn't seem like there was any apprehension with you running with the ball coming off the concussion. Is that something that you felt like the need to communicate to the coaches, especially some of them were designed runs?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Jalen, how have you seen Jahan grow in this offense over the course of the season?
Yeah, I think Jahan's just kind of played his role. Coach gives very specific roles to what guys are expected to do, and he's just kind of been there. And when his number's called, when his opportunity's there, he makes a play. And so he's been doing great.
You said rhythm wasn't what you wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that grows naturally by being on the practice field? Perhaps having a normal practice week coming up.
I don't attest it to practice. That's just attested to overall approach and finding a rhythm.
Let's take two more.
What were they doing? Obviously it was tough for Saquon as well to find some holes. He did here and there and everything. What did you notice about what they were doing to try to stop him?
I think they came and kind of did what they did. Had more weight on the field at the linebacker position, and more base personnel throughout the game, it seemed. But every team is going to try and do that. I think the biggest takeaway for me is just taking advantage of those opportunities when the defense gives us the ball back, and taking advantage of those opportunities. This is the time where that is most important. And so that'll be something that we hone in on. We all hone in on and try and take advantage of the next opportunity we have on the field.
Jalen, AJ was reading on the sideline. I think you said the book was Inner Excellence. Have you seen AJ read on the sideline during the games, and what goes through your mind when you see that? How do you think it's
I've never seen him read. I've seen the book in his hands. Everybody has a different thing and finds their flow in different ways. So that's how he chooses to do it.
What are you doing,
Quinyon?
Yeah, what are you doing?
I want him a shout out on Instagram.